1.
Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back with another Sunday talk. Jose's not with us today. Not like he's dead or anything. He's just not on this episode.
Final
So it's
season.
just, yeah, I said that. I was like, wait, that sounds terrible. So that's just us two today. So, yeah, let's jump right into it. So, yeah, first question coming from our boy Court. Nets in 4 or 5. What do you think, Liam?
So I just think that, it seems unstoppable. I think Kemba Walker's kind of useless in that series. We're going to jump into that in the next part. I mean, later in this episode, but I'm taking Nets in 4.
Yeah, same. I got them in 4 just because, yeah, I mean, they're not even going to get, that close to a win if Kemba just keeps struggling. And, I mean, the Nets, still, don't even really have it, figured out yet. Just, they're just, offensive, prowess. And, that's just the scary part. And, yeah, just the Celtics, they just seem so unmotivated. And I think if I'm them, I would just focus on next season. Next question, again, coming from Court. Can Dame carry the Blazers past the Nuggets? 100%. 100%. I don't even think it'd really be that much of a carry, really, because I think, they're all coming together healthy finally. That's, the one thing we always say with the Blazers, as soon as they get healthy, they're going to be a really good squad. And I think they match up very well with the Nuggets. Two teams that are very great offensively and don't play as much of defense. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Dame played very well this last game. 34 points, 13 assists, played super well, but also at the same time, this Denver team just isn't. I think they're just missing Jamal Murray a little bit too much. I think Michael Porter Jr. shot a great efficiency this last game, but without Jamal Murray there, it's going to be interesting. I think Enes Kanter is going to be a thing in this series. It's going to be an X factor. If he can't hold himself on defense, it's going to make a big thing. But Dame very well could pull this off. But I think it's going to be a 6 or 7 game series, if anything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think, it's not really I think what the Nuggets are a seed higher, but it's not really, it wouldn't be a crazy upside. And these teams are very, very well matched. And yeah, you're right. They are missing Murray very bad. They're just missing that shot creation, just that extra offense, which I think, Campazzo and Rivers are fine, but those are two guys that should definitely be, your 8th or 9th man, not your
Austin
starting point
Rivers is
guards.
not a championship starting guard. I can tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. So next question. What series you guys think are going to 7?
Oh,
A lot of good potential. There's a lot of really good series.
I'll just say I think the Mavericks and the Clippers are going to go 7. This is a good series right now. I mean, just like we said, we'll talk about these games in a minute, but I'll just say that Mavs Clippers.
Yeah, I have 3. Easily I could see the Bucks Heat, going that way, just because that first game was super close, and the main Heat players didn't even play that well. Suns Lakers too. I think that's going to be a bloodbath, and I think whoever comes out of that series, I think should be the favorite to make it to the finals, honestly. And then the Hawks Knicks too. I think I truly believe that should go 7 too.
Mm-hmm. Great game today, by the way.
Great, a lot of great games today, which we don't get into. And then final question from Chase: is Tony Snell the greatest player ever? I had no idea this was true. He had a 50-50, 100 season.
That's really impressive. It's honestly, sure, he didn't have a lot of volume, but to shoot that efficiently, it's going to keep him rolling this league. I mean, honestly, he's been a meme because he had that one game where he played 30 minutes and he didn't do a single stat.
He had no stats. My man was just running.
He's just a bum too, but to shoot 50-50, 100, just shows that he's improved his efficiency. And this Hawks team needs something like that, especially, right now come playoff time.
Yeah,
Late
and
game
it's not
free throw
it's not like he plays 5 minutes a game. He plays I think he's at 19 or 20 minutes a game. Like you said, decent volume. So yeah, pretty impressive. But
he's playing 21 a game.
Yeah, so that's 21 minutes a
Sorry,
game.
he had a 56.9 100 season. He shot 55 from 3.
Just not missing a free throw. I'm not sure how many free throw attempts he had, but just not missing a free throw is very impressive.
Yeah, well, hold up. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Free throws.
Yeah, we should find that. How many free throw attempts did Tony?
Oh, he went 11 for 11.
Okay. That not as impressive, but
Uh,
still, when you look back at 30 years, when our kids and maybe grandkids are looking back at his season and
the
be like,
goat,
damn, 50, 100.
the goat season.
Exactly. So yeah, so thanks for the questions. So we're just gonna hop into all the games that we got so far. We got the play-in tournament, and then we had all of the game ones. They just finished up. We just had the Jazz and the Grizzlies. So we'll just start with the play-in tournament. Our first game was the Hornets and the Pacers, which I was really excited to see. The Hornets, who have been super fun all season, and they just looked like they were inexperienced, which they are. I mean, they're super young, not much playoff experience at all, and that's how it looks. So, what were your big takeaways from this game?
I think it's just next year for the Hornets. That's the main thing you got to look at. But like some good production. We signed some guys towards the end of the season. We've seen Miles Bridges do very good this year. Obviously, Terry Rozier took a step, especially in his efficiency. We posted that down below on our Instagram. Make sure to follow that. But Domantas Sabonis played a great game, but they just blew him out of the water this game. I think, coming into it, we kind of should have expected that because the Pacers are a really underrated team to begin with. But just next year, Pacers, you guys should be a playoff team next season, no doubt.
Yeah, I feel the same way. They just have a coaching issue, I think. Like because I mean, it was like a couple weeks ago. Like one of the coaches was like fighting with a player and stuff. Like they just need a coaching change desperately because they have like their roster is like probably top 5, top 6 in the East for sure. Like they should
Oh,
definitely be in the middle of the Eastern Conference standings. It's just sad to see them kind of underperform this season. But yeah, you're right. Sabonis 20 rebound game. Shout out O'Shea Brissett. I had no
oh,
idea who this guy even
31,
was, and
right?
yeah, 23 points. I think he
Oh,
was like the leading scorer for the Pacers. And he balled out. And yeah, LaMelo, sadly he struggled, but I'm not worried about him. I mean, he's just gonna get better and better. He had a terrific rookie season. So, and then the next game was the Wizards and Celtics. Beal didn't look 100% to me. He's looking much healthier, especially today, but he just didn't look right in that game. But I don't know. What'd you think about that game, Celtics?
I mean, huge performance from Tatum. I mean, not the most efficient shooting, below 50 from free and field goal, but still 17 from 17 from free throw, 50 points, plus 25, plus minus. Great game from them, but kind of surprising that, I'd say that the Celtics pretty much handled the Wizards, and then the Wizards were able to really make a competitive game today with the Sixers, like almost beating the Sixers, despite Tobias Harris playing a very good game. But otherwise, I mean, these both teams are in the playoffs, so best of luck to them. That's basically all I gotta say.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. That's a good point. It's like, they struggled, pretty bad against the Celtics, but then they're holding their own against, one of the best teams in the league. Yeah, like you said, Tatum not efficient, but I think there's some games where like you can be inefficient and still like all right because your team, needs all those points. I mean, it's Tatum, Kemba, and then, you're not really sure where else you're going to get your offense from. Fournier is supposed to be like that solid third option, but you just never know. I mean, Tatum and Kemba were like the only players in double figures besides Tristan Thompson. He had 12. But yeah, still props to Tatum. I mean, a 50 ball in a playoff game, there's only a handful of guys that have ever even done that. So, props to Tatum. Just showing, he's the superstar that we've all made him out to be since he's 19. So, next game, Spurs, Grizzlies. Really just strong game, strong testament to the Spurs and like their defensive game plan, their coaching, because their main guys, I mean, DeRozan, Murray, Rudy Gay all had terrible shooting day. I mean, DeRozan 5 of 21, Murray 4 of 17, Rudy Gay 8 of 21. They all struggled really bad, but they were still able to keep it super close. And it's just a testament that, even like a couple years ago when they traded Kawhi, we had them all counted out and they've still like just fought and they've always been around the playoff range. So shout out to the Spurs for that. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to DeJounte Murray, had a triple double out there. But I mean, you just got to look at the numbers here. From the second quarter on, the Spurs won the game. The Grizzlies had a huge first quarter, winning 38-19, and then Spurs beat them the second, tied in the third, and beat them in the fourth. So, I mean, strong first quarter play by the Grizzlies. Obviously, now they're in the playoffs. Huge upset win for them tonight. Obviously, some
They're
factors
hot
into
right
that.
now.
Some factors into that. But the Spurs team, I think it's good that they lost because now they're the 10 seed, so they have a better chance of getting a higher pick in the draft. And I think they just need that one more piece hopefully don't go out there and get a guard, wait later in the draft, try and go after a center. Hopefully, I can't remember his name, the guy from like Western Kentucky. I know he's like a second year, like sophomore, the center.
Hold on. I know exactly who you're talking about. He was like a really, really high rated prospect.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got to find this now. Is it Bassie?
Yeah. Charles Bassie. I think, yeah, go get someone like him. I know Jakob Pertl had a decent season, but at the same time, like, go out there and get a dominant big man with some potential out there, because I think that's what they need on this team. They got plenty of, depth up front in the backcourt. You had a good season from Lonnie Walker, obviously DeJounte Murray, Derek White, tons of guys out there. But they, I think you can keep someone like DeRozan around still, but you'll go out there and get a center. But props to a good season for them, despite the fact that they don't have that much talent on their roster.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you said, I do like some of the young players, Lonnie Walker. I really like Keldon Johnson, but I think it's just really I think it's kind of like the same problem the Hornets had before they got LaMelo. There's like a lot of solid young guys, but it's like which one of them is gonna like step up and like be the guy or be the second guy. Like I'm just not really sure which one of them it is. But speaking of big man, obviously the Spurs desperately needed that because Valanciunas went off. I mean, 23 and 23, 10 of 16 shooting. I mean, he really is like one of the most underrated big men. He's been putting up like double doubles like all season. He's been a beast and he feasted on the Spurs. And then Brooks and Jaw, they also did their thing. They dropped 20 plus points. They got the dub against the Spurs. So then our next game, we had the Pacers and
Lakers Warriors.
It was Warriors and Lakers, right?
Yeah.
That was the next one. Warriors Lakers, which lived up to the hype. I mean, we all like it's Curry, LeBron. We all had so much hype and expectations for this game, and it came through for sure. So what do you think about that game?
Honestly, I love the memes, like the whole like the Drake fake tweet line when it was like Vision Burry like I'm Braun over Curry. Obviously love that. And then all the fake like Instagram captions with LeBron hitting the game winner. But super good game overall. One of the things I want to point out, especially, Carson, you and I are both Warriors fans. Like the play from Juan Toscano, I love what I saw from him, but just, the crucial moment you can see that he hasn't been out there. He's not experienced enough because there were just some crucial turnovers that he had that were just got to me a little bit. But at the same time, love what we saw from Poole that game. Obviously, Curry's just going to continue to get defensive attention. Obviously, we saw it again in that Memphis game. But, love to see that we're able to go against, one of the best teams in the league and still hold our own when we're not even a fully healthy roster. We're still missing Oubre, and obviously we're missing Thompson. But, great end of the game. LeBron just hit that circus shot, and love to see it.
Yeah, no, same. I think it's really important for our young guys like, JTA, Poole, two guys I really love, like just getting that experience because they know like those guys are going to be important parts of our team next year, like coming off the bench. I mean, those are going to be the spark plugs coming off the bench when we have our guys, Clay Oubre, come back. So just good for them. Poole really impressed me the last, couple weeks of the season. Curry came out and balled. He had 37 points. Wiggins too, which I think, he's like, I think next year he's going to be more of like the icing on the cake. Like if he has a good game, it's like solid, but we don't need to rely on him. Where this season, it's like, we like really needed Wiggins. Like if we wanted to win like these games, like Wiggins had to come out and he played pretty solid, 21 points, 10 of 18 shooting. And then LeBron and AD, like they did their thing. They both got, LeBron 22-point triple double, AD 25 and 12, but just a dope game. And we got, a classic LeBron moment, hitting them with the shot clock cheese. So then our next game, to see who is the 8th seed in the East was the Pacers and Wizards. The Wizards just absolutely blew them out. They wanted it more. I mean, Beal, Westbrook, you knew like they were going to come out and play super hard and ball out. And that's exactly what it did. And Indiana just kind of rolled over. But what do you think about this game?
I mean, I think it's exactly what the fans wanted to see. No one wants to see the Pacers and the Sixers go up in the first round, especially since, the Pacers aren't even fully healthy. They're missing, their arguably their best scorer in Karis LeVert went down with an injury towards the end of the season. Just a rough season for him overall. Getting traded
Westbrook
and having that.
Embiid is much more box office than Pacers, Sabonis and Embiid or the Pacers
Exactly.
jacket.
But a young guy that I think's been playing super well that really should be starting over Alex Len is Daniel Gafford's been fantastic for this team. I think he was a late
Oh
season
yeah,
addition in that trade when with the I think when they traded Daniel Theis over to the Celtics. It got mixed up in a 3-team trade. Daniel Gafford came from the Bulls.
yeah,
Fantastic 15-3 this game, 5 blocks. Very
yeah.
talented.
He's a block machine, and
Young
Len does nothing out there. I'm sorry, like
Len was part of those terrible picks from that 14 draft, something like that. One of the worst
yep,
drafts we've ever seen besides Giannis.
yeah,
But otherwise, this Pacers team, I think they got to trade Sabonis this offseason. I mean, I know he's a very good player for them, but I think they're going to be stuck in mediocrity. And if you don't go out there and make a big move for someone, like kind of how like in the NFL where like the Bears went out there and got Fields. If the Bears didn't get Fields, they'd be stuck in mediocrity for so long. Like you got like teams like the Magic had been stuck in that until they traded Vucevic. Like even if it causes for you to tank, you got to trade someone and whether that be Sabonis or Miles Turner, they got to determine what they can get the most out of because I think someone like Sabonis or Turner can get immense value in a trade and be very good for a playoff team. So I think one of those guys got to go, ride it with Brogdon, a very good, talented young guard. Ride it with Karis LeVert. I think he's going to be a star, 22 plus point per game scorer in this league. They have a lot of question marks to answer this offseason, but shout out to the Wizards. They're going to make it a tough series with the Sixers.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to see Sabonis go. I actually really like their team. I think Turner, Sabonis, Brogdon, LeVert. I think just find like that. I mean, Warren's okay, but just find like that elite forward or something would make them a really solid team. But then also, it's like you're right. Like do you really want to be stuck in mediocrity? It's either like you got to go out there and make a move to get someone like that that's the missing piece, or it's like just give up your guys and just kind of tank basically. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, trade Sabonis because I feel like if they trade Sabonis, they should definitely like look for someone that is probably like 75 to 80% of Sabonis. Still get you a solid player in return. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Sabonis, we would love to have you on the Warriors. That'd be fantastic.
I think he'd be a great fit if like the Blazers, they did like a 3-team trade, like sent Nurkic somewhere and gives them Sabonis. Honestly, the storyline would be fantastic, but give them a healthy big man because like Nurkic is never out there. And I feel like, bring him back. The narrative would be awesome playing for his father's old team. I think he's
Yeah,
a big man that
I love that.
would make a huge impact on a team like the Blazers, who are just, like if they had like basically 2 all-stars and a fringe all-star out there with McCollum, because McCollum's been the scapegoat for this team the last couple of years. I feel like I think that'd be a fantastic move.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm not sure if that deal would get done without McCollum going in there, but that would be awesome because I think Nurkic. It's like we've been playing this game with Nurkic for the last like 2-3 seasons. Like as soon as he gets healthy, he's like the missing piece, and it's like it's a problem. He's just never healthy, and it's like sad to see. But yeah, that would be dope for sure. I mean, especially if they could keep CJ too, like those two, Sabonis. It'd be scary, bro. And it's just because that would be a great move to just, capitalize on Dame Lillard's prime, while he's still in it. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So then moving on, our last game to determine the 8th seed of the West. It was the Warriors and Grizzlies. Another crazy, crazy game from the Warriors and Steph Curry as well, who went off for 39 points of his own. But I think the storyline was, John Morant's, just showing flashes of the superstar that I think we all feel like he's going to become. I mean, he's already, on the path, but just balled out. I mean, 35 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists with 4 steals. And then he proved everybody wrong with the 3-point shooting because that's been like a real thing. Like people would just sag off him, kind of like, they've been doing with Westbrook the last couple of years. But he, hit 5 of 10 threes and balled out. So, I don't know. How'd you feel about this game?
This game hurt me. I mean, it's funny. I
I know.
almost put John Moran on the most overrated point guard because I think he didn't have that good of a season. He shot
No.
like 26% from 3 for a guard. That's horrendous. Didn't really increase in points per game. And he's still this guy that everyone, has all this hype for. But, at the same time, he just proved us all wrong. Went out there, beat a very hot Warriors team. And then, They just won tonight, which is even crazier. And Ja proved us by shooting 5 for 10 from three, which is something that is out of his, game right now. Uh, Another
Yeah.
guy that just did fantastic, Kyle Anderson. What the hell? This is like the slowest dude in the league that plays a wing position. He's out here 10 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 9 points. A fantastic all around game from him and very good defending Steph Curry. Him and Dylan Brooks did a fantastic job. Not having Steph had the most efficient night. But otherwise, I mean, Draymond Green did a fantastic job playing this game.
Besides
Wiggins,
missing that
yeah.
key
Oh,
floater at the end,
obvious. And
that
then
was so sad.
Wiggins, not the prettiest of games from him, but cool, fantastic. I think he's going to be, a guy, Carson, you've mentioned, he's going to be a sixth man of the year candidate next year. He's a fantastic scorer. Not even the first guy we picked in that draft, which is just crazy. Came from the second
Yeah.
round for us. So, yeah, I mean, sorry, Golden State, not the greatest of seasons for us to finish out with. But hey, that Timberwolves pick falls out of the top three. We have potential for 2 lottery picks in this year's
Yep.
draft.
Yeah, I mean, with that Minnesota pick, I think Wiseman still should be treated as a very solid asset. I think, I'm not like completely panicking on Wiseman. I think it's just I feel like they should just let him play. I think they were very conservative with him because they felt like they were kind of in a win now mode and they didn't just let him play and make his mistakes. But I think that's going to change if they keep him or I feel like package Wiseman and then those picks, for another star to, potentially, because next season is, huge. I mean, the war, like literally Clay, Curry, they've both been hyping it up like, oh, like, wait till next year, blah, blah. So that's a move that could be done to really like solidify and get a guy like that. But yeah, I mean, John, like you said, not the best of seasons, but he's still just had so many flashes during the season that it's like, man, like once he like fully puts it together, with the consistency, it's going to be scary. And I mean, he did that. I mean, he showed it, in this game, went crazy. So, so yeah, that was a play-in tournament, which I know I really like and I really enjoyed, but you're
It turned
on the
out
other
well.
side of the spectrum.
It turned out well.
Yeah, it turned out well. For
I can't
sure.
beat
The Western Conference games were much better for sure. But yeah, we'll get into the game ones. Started off with a banger. Started off with a, as we all wanted, just like the playoff atmosphere was there. It's so nice having the fans back. And the first game of the playoffs, start off insane. We had the Heat and the Bucks, rematch of pretty crazy, surprise. Maybe not a surprise to some, but surprise last year in the bubble with the Heat being the number 1 seed Bucks. But this game was amazing. The Bucks won 109-107. Middleton game winner, fadeaway, looking crazy. So yeah, how'd you feel about this game? What stood out?
So I didn't get to watch it since I was at work, but I'm literally sitting there over by the pool where my job is, and I just see all these old guys in the bar. They're all screaming. They're like, "Yeah!" And I asked one of my coworkers, like, "Oh, what happened?" Like, "Oh, Middleton just hit a game winner." I'm like, "Wow!" Because I saw the game was close. I saw that it went to OT, but great from him because I saw this NBA post. This guy was like going crazy because he predicted it almost. He's like he's gonna be the guy at the ball at the end of the game because like Giannis is not a guy that you want to give the ball to because he can't shoot from. He's not a 3-level scorer like Middleton is. But for Middleton to hit that shot, extremely clutch of him. We're gonna need to see more play like this from him. 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. But like you said, like this wasn't a Miami Heat team that was firing on all cylinders. Duncan Robinson was their leading scorer, and that's really not what they see a lot out of. I mean, solid production.
Dragic had a really good game too. I think he had like 25 off the bench.
Exactly. He had 5 threes, but Duncan 7 threes, great for him. But Bam Adebayo had less than 10 points. Kendrick Nunn didn't have that good of a game, who's been a very solid scorer for them this year. Obviously, Tyler, no longer hero, 2 for 10 for him. And then Jimmy Butler, kind of a pedestrian game for him. But I expect them to win this next game, make it a 1-1 series. And this is probably, I could see this going to 7 easily or 6. It's going to be one of the two. But, fantastic from Brook Lopez shutting me up after he saw, my take on him. But, hey, still not the greatest shooting from threes, even though they call him Splash Mountain. But fantastic. We just need to see Giannis and Chris Middleton continue to pull it through.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they need to keep putting up those star numbers. Just the fact that the Heat, kept it this close, they forced OT with, Jimmy and Bam struggling, like really bad shooting. Just a testament to their toughness. And, of course, Jimmy had a terrible game, but then he's able to, clutch up and send OT. Drew Holiday really impressed me as well. He had 20 points, and really just the third option that they've been missing the last couple years because, they thought it was going to be Brogdon, and then, they didn't sign him. Then, they thought it was going to be Bledsoe, but, he was never the third option that they truly wanted. And Drew is really, I feel like, the missing piece for this team. He had a great game. Led the game plus minus. He was plus 10, and just plays elite defense. And I also expect the Heat to bounce back in game 2 because there's no way that Jimmy and Bam are going to shoot that poorly again. I definitely expect them to tie it up as well. This series is going to be one of my favorites for sure. And the next game, Mavericks Clippers rematch again. We have a lot of rematches from last year, a couple years ago. Mavericks won 113 against Clippers 103. The Clippers were like one of the best 3-point shooting teams of the season, especially like the last couple months, but they shot really poorly. They shot only 27.5%. And then, despite 13 turnovers, that the Mavericks forced, or not forced, but they, gave up turnovers their own. They were able to capitalize on the Clippers turnovers. They had 17 points off turnovers, and the Clippers only had 5 off of, Mavericks 13 turnovers. And it's just Luka, doing Luka, and this is what he's going to have to do for them to win this series, against a very talented Clippers team. So, how you feeling?
I mean, who doesn't want to see this team win? No one, unless you're a Clippers fan, likes the Clippers. I mean,
which there's not many out there. I mean,
they're the Chargers of the NBA. It's pretty simple. It literally makes sense because they're in the same city. But despite the fact, I mean, Luka Doncic just doing Luka stuff. 31, 11, and 10. Dorian Finney-Smith had a good scoring game. I think we need to see Kristaps step it up, 14 and 4. Having 4 rebounds, which is always his criticism. I think it's rightfully so. Having only 4 rebounds and being the tallest guy out there by probably at least 4 inches, unless because I know what's his name,
Zubac.
When Ibaka's out there, Ibaka's tiny, and then Zubac I think is maybe 6'11" and 7 foot. But still, fuck you, Marcus Morris. I don't like you. Thank God you played like shit. When you hit Luka last year, that playoffs, that pissed me off. But otherwise, love what I saw from Jalen Brunson. He's one of the best backup point guards in the league. He's easily top 3 in terms of backup point guards. But I think this is going to be a 6-game series. I can't see it going to 7, but my pick's the Mavericks to make it out at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Luka took over, and for them to beat the Clippers this series, they're gonna need at least 1 or 2 guys, role guys, step up. Can't just be all Luka, and that's exactly what happened today. I mean, you mentioned Brunson, Finney-Smith, and Hardaway both had really good games as well. They had 18 and 21 points respectively. And I mean, the Clippers, Kawhi and PG, they played all right, but they're just so annoying. It's just so like they are like the villains because Kawhi dunked on him and they're all looking at Kleber just so disgusting. And then it's like then they duck, like they literally tanked like the last couple games just to avoid the Lakers, and they ended up playing the Mavericks and then they lose game 1. It's just like that's karma, bro. Like that's what you get for ducking smoke against the Lakers. And I feel like, teams that do that, they want to, tank or like try and, fix their spot in the rankings. It usually never works out because it's just karma, bro. It's like it's never really going to work out the way you want it to. So, yeah, I think we're all going for the Mavericks. I want to see Luka get it done. Will he? We'll see. But I definitely need a bounce back from the Clippers for sure if that's going to happen. Because if they go down 2-0, I mean, just the Clippers morale, I just don't really see the Clippers are the last team I'd expect to come together and survive a 2-0 deficit. So this game 2 super important.
100%.
And then our next game, we already talked about it, kind of this series. Nets Boston 93, which I'm surprised Boston was even like in this game for the most part. As Kemba shot so poorly. But what were your takeaways from this game?
I mean, first of all, Robert Williams, a fantastic game. How many blocks did he have? 9. Yeah, 9 blocks off the bench. Almost had a triple double with blocks in the playoffs. Great to see from him. Tatum is just doing all he can. I mean,
Yeah.
Marcus Smart was a solid contributor to this game as well. I think going at the end of the first half, he was the leading scorer, I think. But this Nets team is just disgusting. First of all, why'd they start Blake Griffin? Like, he's useless. Like, they should have started Claxton. And Claxton makes a huge difference for them defensively. He's probably one of the more underrated bench players in the league that no one really talks about. But, like, I saw some stat that they're a top, 10 defensive team when he's on the court. And when they're not, they're the worst defensive team in, league history. So, great to
Yeah.
see, he needs to be out there more for them. But, I mean, just solid play. James Harden had an all-around game. Kyrie was balling out there in KD. Usually what we see is Harden takes the back seat and lets Kyrie and Kevin Durant get their own, and then he'll just, score at will, getting to the free throw line like he does. But really no choice. Like we talked about earlier, no chance for these Celtics. If Jaylen Brown was out there, it's a whole different series because they got another guy that can guard one of the perimeter stars. But
Mm-hmm.
like we've mentioned in previous episodes, they should have gotten a big man because if they had a big man, they'd have a thing above them in this series because they really Tatum just matches up with Kyrie. Walker doesn't even nearly match up the Harden or Harden or Kyrie, and then they don't have. If they had a dominant big man, he could be the reason for them to win this series. But there's no X factor for them. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the Nets' kind of Achilles heel is just their defense, and more specifically, their interior defense because they just don't have, the big man to stop anyone. The Celtics are kind of the same way. That's why I'm so interested, because the Nets, they're either going to play the Heat or, potentially the Bucks. They got Bam, they got Giannis, two guys that I think would absolutely dominate against the Nets. But still, the Nets, I mean, it's still just scary. I mean, they only shot 23.5% from three. But just there's so many stretches of the game where it's there's so many threats out there that it's they can literally get any shot they want. They're all really great playmakers and passers, and it's still just scary because it still looks how I felt watching them, especially in the last few minutes of the game. It's just constant passing. There's a lot of everyone's being kind of passive, but no one's actually stepping up to be the closer. And they just look rusty with their experience because, I mean, they've only played a handful of games together. But I think, this is going to be a great kind of feel out series for them. And then I think, by the time they're out of this, I think they should be, the full Nets power. And I think that the team that we've all been expecting, once they get to the second round.
Definitely.
The next game, the final game of the first night of the playoffs was the Blazers-Denver series, which is going to be, like we already said, it's going to be, two superstars going at it. Blazers won 123-109. The Joker, he dropped 34 and 16. He only had one assist though, which was really, really weird, very uncharacteristic. But again, still dominated offensively. And then Dame, did his thing. He dropped 34. It was dope to see Melo. He had 18 on the bench. They're booing him, which I mean is understandable. He did force his way out, but he's one of the greatest Nuggets ever. So yeah, good solid win for the Blazers starting off the series right. What stood out to you the most?
Michael Porter Jr., might be my new favorite player in the NBA. Shot very bad from three, 1 for 10. I mean, otherwise,
he was perfect from two.
Exactly. So, which made kind of no sense to me. He's got to step up because really, who can guard him on that team? No one.
No one.
Robert Covington, maybe a couple years ago, but not anymore. I think it's got to be
Porter's evolved. He's gotten to the point where it's no one on the Blazers can do anything with him.
He's going to be the reason why they have a chance to win this series. But Capazzo and Austin Rivers, you're not going to win another playoff series with those guys at your guards. I mean,
especially when you're going up one of the best backcourts in the league, you're going up against CJ and Dame. It's
but I understand you can start a worse guard and have your bench guard play more minutes. But why did Monte Morris have less minutes than Austin Rivers? Austin Rivers had 33 and Monte Morris had 22. Monte Morris is a fantastic guard, and I don't know why he didn't play. Even
very
Marcus Howard.
Guard.
I would take Marcus Howard over him too. So it really kind of made no sense to me because I mean they don't have much guard depth otherwise. So you played your best guards out there, or just let someone else handle the ball. I mean, obviously it wasn't Jokic because from what I saw, Capazzo was the guy handling the ball most of the game. But great game from Dame, obviously. Super good passing, obviously distributing the ball. And then, Carmelo was just knocking down shot after shot in the beginning of the game, and then began to cool down. But it's going to be an interesting series with this one. I think we're going to see a buzzer beater from one side. I think it's one of the star players is going to hit one in this series. I think it's going to come down. I think game 2 is going to be a lot closer game. I don't know who will win it, but it'll definitely be a closer game. But we just need to see Michael Porter Jr. step up because Jokic did all he could besides, passing the ball, which is weird, but like you mentioned, but Michael Porter step up and don't play Austin Rivers 33 minutes in a playoff game.
Yeah, well, I think the person that needs to step up more than Michael Porter Jr. because like you said, 1 of 10 for threes, that's pretty bad, but he's still dropping 25 points. Aaron Gordon needs to step up. I mean, this is a guy that as soon as they got him, I mean, they had Murray, but once they got him, they went 9-0, 10-0 or something. He's became a really, really solid piece, a really great fourth option, and now he's kind of moved into the third option. And he just needs to step up really if they're going to survive this series. So, and then next game we have the Sixers Wizards, a lot closer than I think we all expected. But I mean the Wizards they got 2 stars, so I think that's what's going to keep them in. And they both played pretty solid. But yeah, Sixers end up getting it done. And yeah, this was a pretty solid game too, despite not being crazy close like the other games I'll get into. But yeah, what stood out to you in this game?
Not the greatest game from Ben Simmons. I mean, he does his job on defense, but not good from offense when he has a huge height advantage over the guys he's going against, no matter what, like who he's going at, because Westbrook isn't like that great of a defender, but at the same time, I mean, he should be able to bully Westbrook and get to the paint with ease, and they don't really have an inside presence to stop him. Great game from Tobias Harris. Very, he was on our Instagram post about the underrated players. Super underrated because he's the 3rd star and he's bounced around the league for a while. Started in Milwaukee, went to Orlando, went to the Clippers. Oh, no. He went to the Pistons, went to the Clippers, and then now he's on the Sixers. But also loved Matisse Thybulle, played a great game out there defensively. 2 steals, 2 blocks. But, if they want to have a chance, the Wizards, it's got to go through Beal and Westbrook, and there's no other options. Hachimura did play well. He was very efficient with his game, but I just don't see it happening. I think the Sixers team's too talented. And then basically they can just drape everyone over Beal and then just let Westbrook shoot because he's not a threat. And this game should be over in 5. I think they'll win one game. The Westbrook will have some like 40-point triple-double and break a playoff record, and then they're out.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, yeah, they need to start draping Beal because, I mean, they couldn't guard him today. I mean, he had a really good game, efficient, 30-point game. But, you mentioned Tobias Harris, insane. I mean, 28 points in the first – I wasn't able to watch the first half, but I saw him, like, 28 points, like, first half. Like, what the hell? And, I mean, they don't need, all of that from him, but they're going to need him to have, these 20 to 30-point games, pretty consistently, honestly, especially when you're getting 6 points from Ben Simmons. And it's just – so sad. I'm a Ben Simmons truther. I mean, he did have 15 rebounds and 15 assists, plays great defense. He has everything in his game except, that offensive game, which is, the most important part probably. 6 points. He's bigger than all their guards on the Wizards, and, he should be able to, dominate against guys like, Robin Lopez, Gafford. Should be able to get buckets on them too. Just sad to see, and, he needs to step it up for the offensive end for sure. But, Harris went off. Embiid, they couldn't do anything with him. I mean, I saw him evade a triple team and still, fade away. He scored like 3 straight baskets in closing time. He had a great game. And, yeah, just need more from Ben because, this is okay now because you're playing the 8th seed. You're the heavy favorites. But 6 points is not going to get it done against, like, the Nets, the Bucks. It's just not, you're going to need, there's no reason why he shouldn't be scoring at least like 15 points.
Especially if he's shooting 33% from the field. Like if he was like not taking a single shot and he was making his impact elsewhere like he does, that's different. But if you're wasting those 9 shots, like that's not going to get it done. And he gets exposed in the playoffs. That's what we've seen so far, but he's a different player this year from what we've seen in the way that he's made this impact. He's not the LeBron that he was drafted and expected to be. He's more this like defensive, just like he's basically a better version of Draymond, a more athletic, better version of Draymond Green that can't shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, at least, Draymond, like, prime Draymond was still not a great shooter, but he still knocks some down every now and then. He hit some pretty clutch
30
shots.
something, 30 something percent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not anymore.
exactly. But Ben, it's just like non-exist. I mean, he doesn't even shoot him. And, Harris, I mean, this is a great sign because, him putting up 28 points, I think he ended up with like 38. They need that because he really is their second option, their second scorer, because Ben, you just never know what you're going to get from him offensively. And Harris, needs to keep up this pace. Man, he's not going to do 28 points every half, but they still need him to play very, very solid and get be that elite second option, which we'll see because he's never proven it, he's never done it yet. So we'll see. The next game, Suns Lakers. This was an incredible game. I mean, from the jump, I mean, the first quarter was incredible. They just constantly going at it. And the Suns, did not look phased. I mean, they did not look scared of the Lakers, which I think just it sucks. They had such a great season, and then the first round they end up with the defending champs, which still, I mean, obviously they're haven't been healthy, but it's still you're going up against LeBron and AD, and it's just not terrible consolation prize for getting the second seed. But they balled out. I mean, they played a really great game. So yeah, what stood out to you the most? Why to make it such a great game for the Suns?
I would tell you smoking a fat pack if you said Anthony Davis got outplayed by DeAndre Ayton this game. And Ayton was a monster.
He did.
He's the X factor for this series. Like, there's no lie about that because he's, honestly, he's going to get judged for because he's probably like the third best player from that draft. And he was taken number 1 overall by a generational talent in Luka Doncic. But, it would make no sense if some guy like Luka was on this team, to begin with. Honestly, Chris Paul, we all got scared because he was out of the game for like, I think less than a quarter or something like that, but went down with like a shoulder contusion. I think was what I got diagnosed with. But, great game from Booker scoring wise. I don't like 6 turnovers. That's a little bit too much for me, but 7 rebounds, 8 assists. Great overall. Mikal Bridges, fantastic job on the defensive end. But, not impressive at all from these Lakers. I mean, AD, 13 points. LeBron, 5 turnovers, 18, 10, and 7. Drummond, Schroeder,
Drummond he is an offensive liability. And Marc Gasol was literally trending on Twitter because Lakers Twitter is massive. And everyone's just like, we need to start Gasol because I think that lineup with like, Gasol instead of Drummond is like one of the best lineups in the NBA in terms of like advanced metrics. And he's been there before. I mean, it's Gasol. Yeah, he might not get as many rebounds or whatnot, but he has that playoff experience. Drummond doesn't. He's been getting empty stats and been on losing teams his whole career. He hasn't been here, and I think that it should be a real change because they need that playoff experience. And the Lakers, they need more urgency. They just didn't seem engaged at all, and they're the only team I trust that can turn it on and off like whenever. But like, if they need to turn it on and keep it on because they cannot keep playing without this urgency because the Suns came to play. They are serious. And, it was great. Like you said, Ayton straight up outplayed AD. I mean, he shot 10 of 11 from the field, 21-16, just getting so many easy looks because, Booker and CP3 are getting a ton of attention. And really impressed with him because he was someone I was really worried. I thought he was going to get kind of cooked because you have Drummond, AD, a lot of size that can really, kind of cancel him out, but he played fantastic. Booker, again, we all expected it. We knew he was going to, come out and ball in his first playoffs. It did amazing, 34 points, and having to really pick up playmaking duties because CP3, like you said, he got that shoulder contusion, did not look the same. He turned it over a lot, and you could really tell that every time he was kind of dribbling with his right hand, it really bothered him and it affected him. And Booker stepped up and made some plays in crunch time. It's a fantastic debut for the Suns, and it's it's scary for the Lakers. It's still going to be a long series, I expected, but they need to come out and play much better, much stronger.
Yeah.
Just more urgency.
Just to add on to it, I mean, Ayton had 8 offensive rebounds, which is crazy. I mean, he had one more than Drummond, who's one of the best rebounders in NBA history by statistics. And then, but like you said, Anthony Davis, he's the best
He
big
had
man in
one rebound by halftime. One.
Mhm. But hey, Anthony Davis is the best big man in basketball, despite what these numbers are that Jokic and Embiid are putting up. AD's been fantastic his entire career, and he just plays behind LeBron James, so that's why. I mean, this kid, once he gets on fire, AD's going to be ridiculous. He's going to have a game in this series. He's going to drop 35 and like 16.
Well, we saw it like one of the last regular season games. I think like without LeBron, he dropped like 40 points. I mean, we know he can do it against his team. He just,
I mean, an off season for him. I think he scored like 21 a game this year. I don't think he had 10, even averaged 10 rebounds. Let me just check that, verify that. Yeah, 22 and 8 this year. Not a very bad season in his terms from how good his statistics have been, since his starting off his career in New Orleans. But should be a whole different, view on this next game. I think the Lakers are going to come out very strong, and it's going to be, can Chris Paul like lead these guys to close the game? Because I think that's going to be the most important thing when it comes down to it. Chris Paul, honestly, fantastic in the clutch. Back in OKC last year, he was one of the best players. I think the most effective clutch scorer last year. So, we're just going to need to see from this team. Hopefully, Chris Paul, he'll probably be day-to-day at this point, but should be healthy for game 2. I think it's going to be an absolute, banger. I think we're going to need some great, backup support from players like Bridges, players like Cam Johnson, who shot fantastic, and players like Cam Payne off the bench. I love to see how this series is going to go. It's probably might be my favorite one to watch at this point.
Yeah, definitely, because I think it really does have the most stakes. Because I think these are them two and then the Jazz, but I think these are the two for sure best teams in the West. And I mean, like I said earlier, I think whoever comes out of this series and makes it out, I think should be the heavy favorites to make it to the finals. But yeah, just a tremendous game. Shout out the Suns. They came out to play. And yeah, let's see if the Lakers can bounce back. Next game, another insane game. Hawks Knicks. Trae Young proving everybody wrong. He is really about it. I want to make sure that he can do this the rest of the series. But he's starting off crazy strong, and this is definitely going to be one of my favorite series, just because you have the Hawks, which are just loaded on offense everywhere, and you kind of have the complete opposite in the Knicks, which are great, gritty, super defensive minded team. It's just a great matchup, and it lived up to the hype game 1. So yeah, how'd you feel?
Julius Randle had a terrible game. First of all, stupid play call by the Knicks on the final shot. Give the ball to Derrick Rose, and the shot that Julius Randle
shot, the guy who was dropped like 20 points in that quarter.
Exactly, former Warriors legend himself. But Julius Randle literally caught the ball over 3 people and tried to go for some fadeaway like he's Dirk in the Garden. Honestly, didn't turn out that well. But like you said, Burks, fantastic game. Honestly, D Rose is the veteran on this team, trying to do his best. But Trae Young was an all-star starter last year. Crazy to think about that. Averaging 29 and 9, and then this year, a down year, averaging 25 and 9. And he goes out here and the biggest sports stage in America at Madison Square Garden. Spike Lee's sitting courtside, and Trae Young
first playoff game in what 7-8 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was rocking in there.
Exactly. I think their first playoff game since they were the top seed in the East, when they had Millsap, Horford, Jeff Teague, Corver, and Damari Carroll. But I mean, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 32 points. I would have loved to see some better production from Clint Capella. Bogdanovich did have a good game. Those are the 2 guys that we highlighted on our page earlier. And then Daniel Hunter, I think, is coming back from injury, but he should be a huge factor in this. I think the Hawks are going to win it. I think it's a hot take. I know everyone's riding the New York bandwagon right now, but they're just such a stacked team. And they even have, players like, a former 6th man of the year, Lou Williams, off the bench, and Danilo Gallinari, who should be a starter on most NBA teams, coming off their bench as well. And then obviously, the GOAT himself, Tony
Terrible
Snell.
Haircut, by the way. I don't know what he's thinking. Some American History X stuff. It looks terrible. Chuck Liddell, we're not rocking with that.
Exactly. But I mean, we just have to see Randle step it up. But I mean, if you really just drape all your coverage on Randle, like this team isn't that talented. I know everyone that
Exactly.
all the New
Yeah.
York Knicks fans probably hate me for saying that, but it's not that
No,
talented
you're
of a
right.
team.
I think they overachieved this year because you look at the roster, it's not that much different from last year, and they're you like Alec Burks went off, and you're just like I was like, is he really gonna make another one? Like it's not like oh it's Alec Burks. It's like no, I'm like damn, is this guy really going off for them right now?
Yeah, because the two best players for the Knicks played very inefficient. RJ Barrett was 6 of 15, and Randall was 6 of 23, which is terrible for a guy the New York media thinks is an MVP candidate, which is hilarious. Because Steph Curry, in my eyes, obviously now not in the playoffs, isn't MVP worthy, and they think Julius Randle is too, but that's just a laughing stock to me. Hawks and 6.
Nah, it's not a laughing stock. He should be considered not like a top three, but I think because I think it's what 5. I definitely could see him being like the
All NBA
the
like
fifth.
second team is his height, but like barely squeaking by.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
you also got to look at the fact that he played the most minutes in the league. It's because his coach just beats the living crud out of him. Like, honestly,
yeah,
deserving a most improved player. I don't think he's going to have a great season next year. Honestly, now they have Obi Toppin in there. I mean, they probably should just trade him. I mean, Obi Toppin looks like he has no place being on this team. Uh, even
yeah,
though he did play this game, but like, what impact is he? He's a box office guy. So, interesting
yeah.
series. I mean, what? So this is the 4-5 matchup. So they play so the winner plays the Sixers in this series. So I think the Hawks could give a good matchup to them. Clint Capella would match up nice defensively with Embiid.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, again, because like the Sixers are a really great defensive team. The Hawks are just absolutely loaded. I mean, we saw, like we already said, Trae Young. I love seeing Trae Young embrace the villain role because he really has been. I mean, I feel like he was for sure deserving of an All-Star spot this year. He didn't even make it. I think it's just because the NBA just has grown. So they just go so negative of it. They just don't like him because I mean, I get it. His play style is annoying, drawing those fouls, but it's
Harden
smart. I
does it.
mean, Harden does it, and he's great at it. He's it's something that they've mastered. And yeah, you could call it cheap or whatnot, but it's a part of the game. I mean, people have been doing that for for years now, and he's just you just got to give it to him. He's a master at it. Yeah, it's annoying. It's frustrating. I'm sure. God, I would. Be terrible to defend him, but he's amazing at it. And it's not like that's all he does. He's a great shooter. He's great at the line. He's amazing. One of the best floaters in the league. I mean, that's what his game winner was. It was a tremendous floater, and he went off. And then also Bogdanovich, just insane because Bogdanovich was kind of like non-existent in the first half of the season, and now like the last couple months, he's really turned into like their second most important player. He's like a great, I like seeing him be like the primary playmaker. Kind of let Trae move off ball a little bit more. And he had a great game. He had some clutch shots. He finished with 18 points. And yeah, I just really like this Hawks squad. And I like them moving forward, man. They got a really solid young core. And
Hey,
if they win the series, this is a great stepping stone for them. Going forward.
but you said Bogdanovich, so I think that's a perfect transition. We got to talk about the Jazz right now. I mean, we'll just move into it right now. He was not even scoring a point, I think, in the first half, and then dropped
all his
29
points for the second half.
in the second. Was so close. I think, without Mitchell out there, they should be able to beat this Grizzlies team pretty handily. I mean, I love the grit that they have. I mean, they're not the grit and grind. They're a grit team. Dylan Brooks is a star in the making at this point. I think a guy very underrated. I believe he was a second-round pick out of Oregon.
I don't know about a star.
No,
I want him to.
Not a star, but like he's gonna be like a good,
He'll be like a bogey. I mean, bogey. He's like a borderline like all-star. Like maybe not. Like I feel like.
I think he's a guy that could average like 18 a game. Like
yeah. There we go. Yeah.
But like making a name for himself, let's say that's what he's doing here. And like honestly, his defense has been on display since they played the Warriors in the last game of the season, and then they played the Warriors again. Just doing his best job on the two-time MVP. Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm so happy to see back. He needs to step up his production though. Didn't have that great of a game, but Kyle Anderson, continuing to play well. Ja Morant, honestly, didn't shoot threes this game, but love what I saw from Desmond Bain when he hit that three to end the game and end the half. I think it was that was dope. But just need to see, Rudy Gobert can't get in foul trouble because having Derek Favors be the main guy out there for them, really compromises them because Rudy Gobert has such an impact offensively and defensively that just goes beyond the box score. And then Jordan Clarkson just played a dud of a game, 0 for 8 from 3. I mean, he's been rather inefficient in the second half of the season, which is why people think Joe Ingles might deserve the award for sixth man now. But Joe Ingles played fantastic. I think, Donovan Mitchell should be back for game 2. I don't think it's a series. I think 6 maybe because the Memphis might squeak another one away at home, but it should be over pretty easily, I think, with Donovan Mitchell. 2-time All-Star didn't play, and they lost by 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, talk about karma. I mean, I mentioned it earlier with the, Clippers, kind of forcing their way into that 4th seed. And same with this game, the Jazz, they thought they were cute. They thought they could sit Mitchell and still beat this team. And, when you do that, that's not how it goes. The karma will bite you. And, good for the Grizzlies, man. They're like, yo, like, if you want to beat us, like, you got to play him, like, because I mean, he was warming up. I mean, I'm pretty sure they cleared him to play. Like, he could have played, but they just decided to sit him, right? He wasn't cleared?
Oh, it said they decided to hold him off, yeah. Well, it wasn't 100%.
So, I mean, he's probably still, like, yeah, but he's still, like, close enough. He probably could have played. But, yeah, I mean, just showing, like, they need him. And just, good for the Grizzlies, man. And it's dope because they have nothing to lose. I mean, they showed it. They're coming in, they're playing with a ton of emotion. They're embracing that 8th seed because, they really do. The Jazz are expected to win. They have nothing to lose. And, it's dope. And if you're gonna upset a 1 seed, it starts with, winning that first game. And yeah, shout out to Grizzlies, man. Morant just continued. I mean, 11 to 21. Just continues playing like a star. And yeah, man, it's tough to see.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's playoff basketball.
It's just so glad having the fans back. So nice.
I think what game? Oh, Utah. I think they had a full stadium. Like, I was watching, I was like, huh? Like, look like they got everyone in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think the Knicks too. I think they said like the Knicks had like 15K, which I mean most stadiums hold only like 20K, so it probably was close to 100%. Yeah, it's just dope, man. It's so nice hearing like the oohs and ahs and the boos. It's like, oh man, like we're almost back. Like real life is like almost here.
It's on the brink.
Yeah, man. But my computer is about to die. I'm not by a charger right now. So, but I mean, that's it. We got through all the games. So, we'll get back to you guys when we'll probably do like a mid series kind of check in. We won't wait till all the series are done. We'll keep checking in with all these games. And next week, I don't know, we might give you some baseball content, some football. We're not sure yet, but we're sure got to be keeping up with these playoffs because it's shaping to be a really, really exciting playoffs because at this point, it's like, with the way the Lakers play today, I have no clue who's going to win. There's a lot of parity in these playoffs, especially in the West. Like there's pathways and roads for any one of those teams. I feel like maybe besides Memphis, but like any one of those teams to get to the finals or something, have a crazy run. So I'm so excited, man. It's so good to have playoff basketball back.
Hey, shout out Phil Mickelson, won the PGA Championship today. 50 years old, the oldest to ever win a major in golf.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not huge golf people. I don't think any of us are, but hey, it's awesome to see an old guy out there amongst all these young guns.
A legend. A legend.
Exactly, a legend to win a big title like that. So I think with that, obviously Carson's got his computer dying right now. So we'll sign out. We got plenty more content coming your way. So make sure, go down below, follow, subscribe. Keep leaving us more questions. We'd love hearing your questions for Sunday Talk. Without further ado, we'll be signing out.
Peace.